Greetings, YouTube. As anyone in the industrialized world knows, we are in the midst of a severe recession, just shy of having become a full-blown depression. And that means that there are a lot of people who are out of work. In America, it's something like 14 million people are currently unemployed, or even more if you consider underemployment, people who have taken jobs that earn them significantly less now than jobs they held in the past. And as the end of the year arrives, it looks like a number of the people who are currently receiving unemployment may be kicked off the rolls. On the 29th of this month, Congress is going to be able to take up this cause again. There will be those who want to extend the benefits to the Americans who are currently receiving unemployment, and there will be those who don't want to extend the benefits being received by American citizens who are currently unemployed. And I believe that there are arguments on both sides. Some don't want it to become a permanent welfare situation, and I can understand that. But there's also the fact that if you kick these people off the rolls of unemployment, what happens to them? Now, some of these people have been on unemployment for over a year, and I can well imagine that their savings is pretty much gone. I've never been on unemployment for very long. It's happened. In fact, I haven't been unemployed for 11 years. And when I was, I think I only collected like 4 or 5 unemployment checks. I wasn't unemployed for very long. But they aren't your full pay. Depending on where you are in the United States will dictate how much of your full pay you received. And where I live in New Hampshire, it wasn't too much. It was like, I don't know, 50 or 55% of what I was getting. So by the time I became employed again, I had blown through quite a bit of my savings, paying for rent and food and my utility bills, things like that. And at the time, I don't even think I had an internet access bill at that point, to tell you the truth. I think it might have just been as I was going off of a friend's free system. He had been allowing me to log into his system at the time. So even though my cost expenditures were fairly low, I still blew through a lot of my savings. So if I'd been unemployed for a year, I would have no savings whatsoever. Now, I don't have an answer for this. I freely admit this. And the part that scares me is I don't think the people who are going to be voting on this issue have an answer for it either. All right? But my question is simple. What do we do with the people who are about to be kicked off the rolls of the unemployment? Now, I believe it's 2 million Americans that would be removed from the unemployment system if this is not renewed. So, you've suddenly got 2 million Americans who have no source of income, whose savings is either gone or close to gone. What do? Where do they go? Are you going to just assume they're going to move in with relatives? Then you're just placing the tax burden from all Americans contributing a small amount of money to the families of these people who will then be spending a lot of money, which factors nicely into some people's view of the world that, quote-unquote, charity should be taken care of through either religious or secular organizations and not through tax dollars. But the amount of money that you're going to have to spend to keep a person and their family afloat is going to be a significant impact for a family or a church, whereas that same amount of money spread out between over 150 million wage earners is going to be significantly less. So what's the answer? My answer is you don't take them off the rolls. It sucks. But I think it's the least worst option. It's not the best option. The best option, of course, is an economy that wasn't destroyed. And I am sorry, but I have to point the finger at the people who racked up huge deficits because of deregulation and rampant spending. So in those cases, I'm aiming my finger at both the Republicans and the Democrats. The fact that we are currently in 2 wars is part of the reason. The fact that we have been supporting the military-industrial complex for decades beyond its useful life, we don't need a military the size that we currently have. We have no enemies that justify its existence. The only thing that justifies its existence is that a lot of politicians want to make sure that their particular constituents all get paid by the U.S. government in the form of military contracts. And I have a problem with that. I don't want my tax dollars going just to some places for the purposes of creating devices that will kill people. I would rather spend those monies on infrastructure, unemployment, healthcare, taking care of people, not killing them. But I'm willing to listen. Liberal progressives, conservatives, what are your answers? What do you want to see done with those 2 million people who are about to be kicked off the rolls of unemployment? Where do they go? How do they pay rent? How do they buy food? How do they pay their utilities? How do they take care of their children? These aren't abstract problems. These aren't pie-in-the-sky questions. These are direct, hard questions based on cold reality. What happens to these people?